You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
From the AACI studios in downtown Southfield, Jerusalem, it's Louis Live! Now your host, me, and Yossi G.
You sound very, very upset.
I am.
Why are you upset?
Pray tell, Ari Louis. Well, folks, I hope I do a great show tonight, and I'm certainly going to try. But if I don't, and I get death threats... and
on Twitter
or Facebook, and I find you, I'm going to kick your ass. And that's the same for those who are threatening Kyle Williams, the scapegoat of last night's NFC title game. 49ers lose 2017. And many people...
In overtime.
Thank
you very much.
Kyle Williams has 2 fumbles. Giants,
both on special teams, and both ended up turning into points.
They turned into 10 points.
The Giants.
That's half of the Giants' points. So, yes, it was his fault, and he did cost them the game. And it's a lot of money they cost the 49ers franchise and the fans, blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't.
The NFL, for the most part,
over it.
But the NFL, for the most part, is happy that he fumbled.
Yeah, of course,
because they wanted the Giants-Patriots matchup.
This is Cole Matthew Midgard. Posted this on his Facebook real early here. Kyle Williams, you need to leave San Francisco forever. You should never be allowed to play in the NFL ever again. You play and you're. By the way, this is really cute. This Twitter jerk misspelled on Twitter, so it's speaking about insulting people. But anyway, your play and your post-game comments should be enough to earn yourself a spot in 49ers history, ... as the biggest POS to ever wear the red and gold. Lots of hope for next year. Just hope that KW gets hit by a bus, eaten by a lion, or dies in some other terrible way so he can't ruin the 49ers season again. What a terrible piece of garbage you are, KW. You ruined the game I've been waiting for over 10 years. That's pretty intense. And that's pretty disgusting.
Sounds like that fan has to go see some anger management.
I wouldn't be shocked if they cut Williams. I mean, I don't think he could actually play as the Niner again. That's probably true.
You know what? No, if I was in the Niners franchise, I would keep him, and I would say, okay, you make mistakes. It happens. It's one bad game. It was on special teams, granted. You know what? Actually... All right, I'm going to get into Williams just for a moment, in another moment there, as to what I'm thinking about here. But give him another chance. Say, all right, you had a bad game. Fine, we understand. It happens to the best. The best of the best have had off games. The best of the best have had bad games.
Now, you know what I love? As you recall, the Packers versus the Giants, there was a big fumble by the Packers running back, and that kind of cost them the game, but they went right back to him. Wait a second. Is this the game I'm thinking of? Yeah, I think so. They were right. Aaron Rodgers on the first play went right back to him.
Yeah.
That's done in sports all the time, especially football. The running back is a fumble. Next play, go back to him.
You don't hear from Jets fans that when Wayne Corbett fumbled in the AFC Championship game at the end of the fourth quarter,
well,
when they were driving against the Broncos to set up for a game-winning touchdown, you don't hear from the Jet fans that, oh, Corbett was fighting for extra yardage and he fumbled the ball and the Broncos recovered. You don't hear Jets fans chanting for Wayne Corbett's head. This doesn't happen. I think this is a sore, expletive loser.
You know, I didn't realize this. But do you know that Kyle Williams is the son of Chicago White Sox general manager Kenny Williams? I did not realize that.
KW.
And now they're apparently, I don't like this though. As much as I want to defend the kid, they're saying that he played with a separated shoulder. Now, if you're on the field, you're playing. Don't use that as an excuse.
Okay, so how about this? I'm gonna. Somebody pointed out. I was reading. I think it was Brill, Yeshaya Brill, the awesome Judean Rebels player.
Yes, defender.
I don't know what position
He's a quarterback.
He plays. I don't know what position he plays. I just
Many
know
times
he's on that
he guards
roster.
the other team's best wide receiver.
But anyhow, so he pointed out that it was something very interesting because only after he mentioned it did it click in my mind. Yes, that is a true statement. He pointed out, a la the Cleveland Browns with Colt McCoy, right before the time before the first Kyle Williams fumble on special teams, I believe it was the punt before that, he got rocked. I mean, he got absolutely smoked on the field. And he got up a little gingerly, groggy almost, walked off the field. So I wouldn't be surprised if he has a concussion. And he played with a concussion, and the 49ers medical staff cleared that, or didn't even see that.
So we're going that way? Okay, fair enough. I'll tell you what, though, his dad was more blunt than that. He said, quote, regarding if the injury had a factor, he felt he could get the job done. He didn't. End of story. Nice and blunt. That is an athlete's
Short,
father right there.
Sweet and to the point.
Absolutely. So not using injury as an excuse, according to Kenny Williams. His son, though, Kyle, is in a bit of a devastating circumstance. You think, though, the 49ers should give him another chance?
I definitely think so. You do not throw out a whole season for one game. You don't do that.
All right,
and you don't cut him. Bring him back to training camp. Bring him back to preseason and see if he can make the team legit or not. Okay. Give him a fair chance, just like everybody else, to make the team. Okay. And if he makes the team, guess what? He's going to be your returner. And you tell him, this is what it should be from Jim Harbaugh. He should sit him down and say, look, everybody has a bad game. It happens. Let's just hope that this was the worst game of your career, and let's move on from here.
Now, the only two turnovers the entire game was to Williams. Do you think, though, the game was lost there? Were there other things the Niners did wrong? Because I'm trying to look at the stats to figure out something. One problem I have is Eli Manning threw, take a guess of how many pass attempts Eli Manning had.
It was over 55.
58.
Yeah.
That's insane. Usually a quarterback who throws that many attempts doesn't win. Usually those are 2 games, that many attempts. For example, Alex Smith had 26. That is not even half of what Eli Manning threw. Eli Manning throws a 316. That's a Giants playoff record. And I'm not sure where else you'd blame the Niners. When you look at the stats here, total yards about the same, 352, 328. Time of possession, I guess that's really the Niners' Achilles heel. 28 minutes to the Giants, almost 40. So the 10 extra minutes there.
That's a killer for the defense, especially when you go into an overtime.
Also, it didn't hurt or didn't help that the Niners couldn't stop Victor Cruz, who had 142 yards receiving.
He was running up and down the field like almost at will. It was just a matter if Eli could hit him or not. Because there were some plays where he overthrew.
Ahmad Bradshaw, 20 rushes for 74 yards. That's about average. I guess if you wanted to...
Yeah, you know where else you put a finger on the 49ers? Hello, defenders. Hello. Note to your defensive backs, your corners, your safeties. Look up, all right? Because you going after the football are impeding on your teammate going after the interception as well. You run into him, guess what? 2 people on the same team going after one ball. You know who comes up with the football? Who? The floor.
Yeah.
The ground, the field. No player gets that interception. I mean, there were 2 gift-wrapped picks. I mean, lobbed balls. It's like it got, please... Catch me, 49ers. Take me to the house. Bring me home. Turn me into 6 points. Gift-wrapped footballs from Eli Manning, and boom. That's what happens. You got 2 guys colliding into each other. Football goes onto the ground. That's the end of that. And what happens? Given another chance, Eli Manning makes you pay.
Well, and all great quarterbacks do. By the way, before we take phone calls here on Louis Live, you can get in touch with us from the Holy Land 02-563-1492 and from the Old Country 301-850-2484. Let me point out to you that Eli Manning attempted 58 passes. He completed 32 of them.
Both Giants franchise postseason records.
And he spread the ball around. Those 32 completions were among 8 different receivers. So it wasn't just Victor Cruz torched him. Hakeem Nicks 5 for 55. Ahmad Bradshaw caught 6 balls out of the backfield.
Come on. Hakeem Nicks was more of a decoy because he had 4 for 44 before I think he also had to separate his shoulder. And it was really more of a decoy out there so Victor Cruz will just get less double teams.
Manningham, by the way, only 1 for 17. I believe Super Mario was a bit of a decoy as well because we know he certainly can torch the defense. I think the Niners, offensively, Alex Smith only completed 12 passes. I don't know if I'm not saying he's a GOAT. His QB rating much better than Eli's, believe it or not, 97.6 to 82.3 if you're into that kind of stuff.
That's because one of his completions went for 73 yards.
Yeah, so it's a little misleading there. His completion percentage under 50. I would say Alex is the GOAT, and certainly Frank Gore did his job, 16 rushes for 74 yards, an average of over 4.5.
No, I'm also going to say the offensive line is a GOAT. You're not giving Alex time to throw the football.
He was hurried a lot, sacked for 3 times for an 8-yard loss. Of course, Eli was sacked 6 times.
Granted, but Eli is a different player than Alex Smith in the sense that, yes, he's going to pass more because the running game of the Giants is not the same as the 49ers. For the 49ers, it's run first, throw fourth.
You know, these 49er fans that want to say that the idiot who tweeted and said, well, I've been waiting this for 10 years. This team, hello, did you forget last year? Did you forget what the hell happened with Mike Singletary and your 6-win ball club? How you jumped for a chance to go to the Super Bowl? How about being oh my God, look at this turnaround. And just think what happened next year. Alex Smith has a legitimate year.
It's almost like Yankee fans.
Right.
It's like if the Yankees don't make it to the playoffs, that's it. And you know what? This is the typical type of a fan who really does not appreciate anything is the Yankees make it to the World Series and win 3 years in a row, 98, 99, and 2000. Then they make it to the World Series in 2001 against your Diamondbacks.
And lose.
And they're down, was it 3-1?
Well, they're
down 2-0, and then they come back in Game 3. They come back in Game 4.
Yes.
They come back in Game 5. They're up 3-2. Then they lose the last 2 games, and they lose in 7. Fine, right? Okay, beautiful. All right, it's unfortunate. It happens. Whatever. We move on with life. Or so we think. Joe Torre, in accepting one of these awards from New York sports area, whatever it was, some gala banquet, 3-4 weeks later, somebody heckles him kind of and saying, "Oh, come on, man, you should have brought us home in another World Series." Oh. And then he said, that's where you know that fans are spoiled and they don't appreciate anything that they had, or rather that they've been given over the past few years, because it's all about getting it every single year. Granted, that's what a team should go for. But if you don't appreciate the magnitude and the height of which the team that you root for has reached at a certain point in a certain time, and you take it all for granted, and that it comes around you, and you don't tip your cap to the better team that day, then there's a bit of a fanaticism in the fanatics.
But Yossi, you have to understand. I understand the Niners are a storied franchise, not as good as the Yankees. But the problem I have with this analogy of yours is in the last 10 years, the Niners have sucked. It wasn't like with Torrey won 3 in a row and then lost. The Niners sucked for 10 years. Now they have a great season. And now the kid gets death threats because he prevented them from going to the Super Bowl, according to this guy's thoughts.
Well, you don't hear Mariano Rivera getting a death threat for serving up that home run, the home runs to the Red Sox in 2004. You don't hear him getting death threats for having Joe Torre getting death threats for drawing the infield in Game 7.
Okay, but partly because they won before. Now, Bartman, for example, got death threats. Actually, that's an interesting analogy. It's not the same because the Cubs hadn't won in, at this point,
they haven't won in forever.
103 years, over a century.
More than 99 years is forever.
But the Bartman situation is that the Cubs had a great year, and then they think Bartman cost the World Series. Again, Alex Gonzalez had something to do with that as well. All right, we're going to go to the phone lines.
But the thing with Bartman was that it was Game 6.
Right.
And as the NLCS, you still have a couple outs. You're 5 outs away from
And they
still
had a lead
winning.
then.
They have a lead. Foul ball. Nothing happens.
Yes. All right, we got a caller. Caller, you're on Louis Live.
You're talking baseball?
Andy from the East Coast coming in and giving us a call. Not exactly Andy from the East Coast. We were correlating an analogy with Bartman and this Kyle Williams kid who's been getting death threats on Twitter.
Well, Bartman, it's very different because, first of all, Bartman was a fan. So,
True.
Kyle Williams won't be the first athlete. I mean, Mitch Williams, if you want to make a baseball comparison, Bill Buckner, all those guys. But the difference is that Bartman was a fan. Bartman's not paid to do anything.
And Bartman also
Williams,
didn't break a rule. The ball was in foul territory. It wasn't like he stuck out over in the playing field.
He didn't pull. He didn't pull an Orioles fan, 1996, bringing Derek Jeter's home run.
Mayer.
Right.
Jeffrey Mayer was in the play.
Yes.
Jeffrey Mayer was in play when he caught that ball.
And he was properly rewarded by Steinbrenner with box seats for the next playoff game.
That's right.
They're very happy with what he did.
He's now playing college baseball.
That's right. Now, Eddie for the East Coast, we were looking at the game for the Niners. Yes, Kyle Williams was the GOAT, and yes, you could say he cost the game, but it didn't help that the secondary for the Niners was so bad to allow these wide receivers.
They knocked each other out.
Yeah, they technically did. And these wide receivers for the Giants went berserk. Victor Cruz, 10 for 142. Eli completed 32 passes. What were your thoughts about the game? Is Kyle Williams the only one to blame for San Francisco?
You see, I had one less catch than the San Francisco 49er wide receivers.
Ha, ha, ha.
Great point. That's an excellent point.
So, the fact is you can't continue. You had no production. I mean, Crabtree had one catch. That's it. No other wide receiver caught the ball. So, the other thing is, Williams, keep in mind, he was not playing his natural position. He does not field punts. It's Ted Ginn Jr. that does, who was out of the game. So, keep that in mind. I think his biggest mistake was the first punt, not the second punt.
He should have gotten out of the way.
Yeah.
You either got to field it or move out of the way.
Out of the way, or he's got to know with replay that the camera don't lie, He's going to show up, and he better go after the ball.
Even with Ed Hockley.
You can't just point to the guy and say, he touched it, I didn't touch it,
One thing I'm confused, if you guys could help me out with, because very alertly, one of the Giants picked up that ball, ran for a touchdown. How come that was not a touchdown?
Because they whistled the play dead.
You can't forward the ball on a punt fumble.
Okay. That's why. Okay,
the explanation I heard. You're right. You can't forward the ball. You have to. It's down wherever you touch it.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
all right, going. There was some other game in the other conference.
Can't we admit that game was irrelevant?
Oh God, you Patriots fans. Well, by the way, first of all, I'm very happy. My predictions, the first 2 rounds, I was 500. I said once the championship games were established, Giants, Pats, I was very confident in my pick, and that's what happened. And I'm very confident that the Patriots will win. So kudos to you, Andy, and you do a lot for the Patriots. So I guess you could take a lot of credit now.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't do anything for the Patriots other than wear their sweatshirt. But,
You and Bill Belichick.
That game... What's that?
You and Bill Belichick.
Correct. Except I haven't cut the sleeves off of mine quite yet. It was, that game, as I'm sitting there with 15 seconds to go, and I've got 2 children screaming next to me, miss it, miss it, miss it. I was like, look, let me explain how sports works. We're just glad it's going into overtime. A professional kicker doesn't miss this. And I'm explaining all of this, and the next thing out of my mouth is, oh, my God. And my wife comes running in. She thinks something awful has happened to somebody because I screamed, oh, my God, so loud. She's like running in. What's wrong? I'm like, he missed it. She's like, the kids aren't dead? I'm like, no, everything's fine. But, I sat there and just could not believe my eyes. I mean, first of all, everyone's talking about Cundiff. I mean, Lee Evans, wow, he had to catch that ball in the end zone. You're a professional wide receiver.
Yeah.
You've got to make that catch.
But aren't you surprised a little bit that it wasn't challenged?
No. I'm not, because he never made the quote-unquote football move. He never turned. I don't even know that he had both feet down.
Mm-hmm.
And so no, it really wasn't, challenge. First of all, it wasn't challengeable. It had to be looked at upstairs.
Right.
There's nothing they could do. But, I think that, look, I mean, I think Brady said it best when he got on the podium. He's like, he sucked, He definitely had an awful game, but I think we all have seen enough sports to know that, sometimes you do have to help, quote unquote, win ugly, even though our friend Jim Williams hates that term.
Well, the saying is the great ones aren't always great, but there's great where they have to be. I mean, Tom at the end got the W.
Right. And somebody, I believe it was our good friend Effie, made a comment on Facebook about awful stats and this and that. But I think we can all agree that the quarterback gets too much credit and gets blamed too much.
Right. Oh, sure.
Quite often in these games.
Sure.
And I think this was a perfect case where, they realized, however they realized that they could run and on Baltimore, and they decided just to let Ben Jarvis do his thing, and mix it up with Hernandez running. And it means obviously at halftime they realized something was up with the running game. That's what happens. You make adjustments. But, boys, I'm just glad we don't have to have 2 weeks of Harbaugh talk.
No, this is the game everybody...
We do have Harbaugh talk because this is the first time that brothers were knocked out in the championship round.
But they're not going to talk about that.
Well, that would be my status. Thank you for quoting me.
I didn't realize that you had that up there.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
You also stole? Oh, I didn't know about it. Well, I'll tell you, outside of Packers, Patriots, or Saints, Patriots, actually, I could argue the fans wanted Giants, Patriots over Saints, Patriots. This is the game, outside of Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, that we wanted, and we got it. It's a rematch 4 years ago, a lot of different stories of the game.
Right, but I don't really, the rematch angle is going to be overplayed a lot. But just think about these teams. I mean, it's not quite the rematch. 30% they say players turn over every year on a professional roster. So,
But the key parts, though.
It's going to be more about, I think it's going to come down to Eli. That, to me, is the story that just doesn't get enough play. Because with all the Peyton talk for the year that Eli has had, I mean, Eli is on the verge of winning his second Super Bowl. It would be, Lord knows I don't want it to happen.
In Peyton's house.
Unbelievable if Eli has 2 rings and Peyton has 1.
But this is in Peyton's house also. Everybody was saying before the season how there's going to be a Manning in the Super Bowl, but nobody thought that it was going to be Eli.
Yeah, great point.
Well, Chris Carter was on ESPN radio this morning. He said that about 8 years ago, or 7 years ago, I guess it was, after Eli's rookie season, he went down to New Orleans to, I guess the Mannings have some passing academy or something they call it. And he said Eli, and he caught balls from both Peyton and Eli. He said if you closed your eyes, you wouldn't know who was throwing it to you, either way. And he said, look, this is his year. This is certainly, he has emerged as an elite quarterback. I still, for the life of me, don't know how he does it. Sometimes it looks like he just closes his eyes and chucks it, but somehow those balls, I mean, that catch, if you watch the game, the Ahmad Bradshaw catch, I don't know how that pass got to him.
Yes.
No idea.
Well, by the way, Eli in the regular season, and went somewhat under the radar because you had so many guys that threw for over 5,000 yards. Eli was at 4,900 something.
Correct.
He was right there.
He tied Peyton with 15 fourth-quarter touchdown passes. It's unbelievable.
But I think the one picture that really describes Eli, especially this season, was after he got knocked down just as he threw a ball to the outside.
And he adjusted his uniform.
He pops up, his helmet, his chin strap is like in his face, and over his mouth is his padding is kind of coming out, and he's like calling timeout, or he's kind of calling for a huddle, whatever it was. Like that is Eli the entire this year.
Exactly, he called timeout. It'll be interesting. It'll certainly be interesting because that defense of the Giants is not the same defense that played all year. We all know that. Brady can get rattled if you hit him. They just never really got to him much, yesterday. And I don't know, what happened there, but it was certainly, there for the taking for the Ravens. Hey, they were set up to at least send it into overtime. And
is that a scary thing?
My question is, you were having deep voice Brian on. You still have a deep voice.
Well, here's the thing, though. When we get him on, we're going to get that end of this entire thing, so you're going to have to stay tuned for that.
Yes, and do you have Pete Shepard as well?
Yes, we should be having him on. We'll talk about that. But just before we let you go, I got to ask you, does it scare you the fact that even though the Ravens did not get pressure on Brady as much as they wanted to, yet Brady did not have such a good game? Does that scare you as a person who roots for the Patriots?
Look, you have to be able to. No, because the defense of Baltimore is still better in the secondary and kind of that whole playing center field thing. They mixed it up on them. They played good defense. I don't think the Giants have that same defense.
All right, Andy, we got to let you go, but give us a score of Super Bowl 46.
Super Bowl 46, 31-24. New England.
Yeah, what a shocking pick. All right, we'll see what happens. Thanks for calling in, Andy from the East Coast.
See ya.
Take care.
All right, that was Andy from the East Coast. That opens up a phone line. If you want to give us a call here in the Holy Land, 02-563-1492. And from the Oil Country, 301-850-2484. So we didn't touch a lot of the AFC in our beginning segment before Andy from the East Coast called and switched us over to the AFC. I guess Kyle Williams is the bigger goat because he did it twice, and it's a fumble. But that kick, the Ravens missing that kick reminded me of Mike Vanderjagt missing that kick for the Colts against the Steelers it was 7 years ago. But the kick looked that bad, and they were both chip shot kicks, about 30, 35 yards or so.
A kick is not a chip shot. I don't care unless you're playing in a dome.
Mister, I make the 38 yards kick thing.
It's not a chip shot. You got to make the kick. The snap has to be good. The hole has to be good, and the foot on ball has to be good. And even so, you have to clear people jumping up to try to block it. It's still a pressure situation. I'll say it before, I'll say it again. Not everybody's last name is Vinatieri. Not everybody's last name is Elam.
Well, you're getting the idea of Vinatieri, of how good and important he was to the Patriots.
And how much of an undersung hero he was.
Right, because kind of without him, it's kind of like the Yankees without Rivera. You need someone to close the game. All right, we're going to go back out to the phone lines. Caller, you're on Louis Live.
Yeah, hi, how are you? This is Radio Mike from Kew Garnet Hills.
Radio Mike, what a shock you're called in today. Would you like to talk about bass fishing?
Yeah, we can talk about fencing and golf and whatever.
Golf is not a sport.
Oh, God.
I agree.
All right, fine. You're from Kew Garnet Hills. The Giants they're in a different state, but it's pretty close to you. Unbelievable. The Giants getting into the playoffs at 9-7, and here they are back in the Super Bowl, a chance to win.
They're actually 12-7.
All right. I mean, they started the playoffs 9-7. I know the Cowboys game was technically the playoffs, but you know what I mean. They have a chance to win their second Super Bowl in 5 years. Totally unbelievable. Your thoughts on the NFC title game?
Well, New Yorkers are really behind the Giant team. The Jets really took a step back this season, and everyone can't stand Belichick. So everyone just loves the Giants. I mean, it doesn't go by the best team always, and you see that so often in the playoffs. it's the hottest team, and really the Giants are really a very hot team. San Francisco was playing very well. Also, they have a terrific defensive team, and they have some really monsters on defense and offense. They're not as complete a team as the Giants, but the Giants prevailed. I think the Giants outplayed San Francisco yesterday, but they were still lucky. The Giants were still lucky to have won the game. And, the hottest team in football now is the Giants. I mean, you can't say that the Patriots, blew out Baltimore yesterday. They were just really lucky that they missed the 32-yarder, and the guy dropped the ball in the end zone. So I think the Giants have a good chance against New England. They beat them already in Foxborough this season. So we'll see what happens in 2 weeks.
Listen, the Foxborough game and the Super Bowl is going to be two different stories. The Giants are a different team. The Patriots certainly as well are a different team. They did not have their full squad together until the playoffs started, and now they're just on a tear. Even though Tom Brady was not...
The latest rumor is that your man Tom Brady there is not 100%. That there's something either wrong with his leg or his arm, because he's not throwing that ball all that well. So,
he's got 2 weeks to heal, if that is indeed the case. And also, don't forget, they found their running game against the Ravens. So the entire law firm is going to show up in Indianapolis and attempt at running rampant.
The Giants are pretty good against that run. They have some monsters there on defense that can stop the run. Maybe their safeties aren't the best, but I think their front four are pretty good.
All right, so
I think they can handle the run.
All right, that being said, now you so aptly mentioned the Giants' safeties are a little bit to be desired. How are they going to go ahead and stop the three-headed monster known as tight ends plus Wes Welker?
Yeah, well, Wes Welker, he's fantastic. I mean, I wish the Giants had someone as good as him.
Now you're sounding like the Giants' coaching staff.
Yeah, but you also have the three-headed monsters in Manningham and Cruz
and Nix. Yes.
I would take those three over the Patriots three.
Well, that is definitely. I'm going to go this far and say that is a homer pick because I do not know anybody else who would do that. I think everybody that I know would certainly take the two tight ends plus Wes Welker faster than Victor Cruz, Mario Manningham, and Hakeem, who is injured right now. Nix.
Well, you also have this guy, Victor Cruz. He's the last guy to make. I think he had 5 touchdowns of 65 yards or more. And the last guy to do that was Crazy Legs Hirsch about 50 years ago. So, Victor Cruz is probably the closest thing to a superstar. 10 catches yesterday, 142 yards, coming out of Boston College or something like that? He's... and even if they double-team him, that frees up the other guys a little bit. So I think... and the defense of the New England Patriots isn't all that great either.
Why would you say the defense of the New England Patriots is not that great? Yes, they may have been ranked towards the bottom, dead last, 31st rather, overall in the league in yards given up between the 20s. But when push came to shove, they were ranked number 1 in the AFC in takeaways at plus 17, and they were up there in top 5 with turning those turnovers and takeaways into points.
Yeah, but the teams they're playing, they're not, they really should have lost yesterday. They played Denver, and they're a joke team altogether. They played in a weak division. They played the Jets twice, Miami, Buffalo. Those are all gimme games. It's not like really, they didn't have like the Giants, for example. They had the hardest schedule in the history of the NFL.
Wait,
back up.
I'm stopping you right here because the Patriots played the Jets. They beat them the second time that they played. The Jets were on a 3-game winning streak. They were pretty hot at that point at 8-5 and looking pretty.
Yeah, but the Jets. Everyone knows the Jets stink.
Okay, and explain this. Because only now do we know what was going on in the locker room since week 3, week 4, because only we know that because the Jets went on a losing streak. Had they ended up winning 2 of those 3, even one of those 3 games, they would have made the postseason and all would have been fine and well and dandy.
Well, yeah, you don't have to get along that well to make it in pro football. You just have to outscore the opponent. But
and how do you do that? You got to trust your teammates and not be selfish, Keyshawn Johnson like.
Yeah, well, Sanchez, he hasn't really proved to be a leader of the football team. They don't really run plays nicely for him. Like he can't throw over the lineman somehow. He needs to roll out, and stuff like that. When he rolls out, that's when he makes his big completions. But if he doesn't roll out, somehow he just can't throw over the lineman. Okay,
so now you're going to get a new offensive coordinator in New York. You have one in Tony Sparano, and he'll teach him how to stay in the pocket and throw. I don't see if there's a problem with him rolling out and making big completions. Keeps the defense honest.
No, that's good. Yeah, I know, but he just has to learn how to throw in the pocket, like you said. But anyway, back to the Giants. Do you think that the Patriots are just going to run all over the Giants?
I definitely think that's going to be a closer game than a lot of people are making it out to be. But yes, I think the only ones who are going to believe that the Giants are going to win in true, honest fashion are the players in the locker rooms themselves. Come on, in your heart of hearts, you're hoping the Giants win because you know that the Patriots are most likely going to win.
I mean, Brady's he's a fantastic quarterback. Belichick is a terrific technician. And you mentioned some of the other weapons that they have, and it should be an exciting Super Bowl.
Oh, definitely will be.
All right, Radio Mike, let's do this. I know you think the Giants are going to win, but what is your score for Super Bowl 46?
35-26.
35-26.
In favor of who?
Giants, of course.
Yeah, Giants, of course. All right, tell you, let's do this. We talked a little bit of this earlier in the program, but we'll have you on. We'll ask you this question. Is Eli better than Peyton?
Well, I don't know. It seemed like when Peyton, he was like, everything revolved around Peyton. And not everything revolves around Eli. Eli really developed in the last couple of years. He continuously got better. I mean, you see how tough he is. I mean, Peyton's also a very tough quarterback. But, no one expected Eli Manning to be this good. I mean, like a couple of years ago, people, they thought this was a bad trade that they made with San Diego to switch, they could have gotten Philip Rivers.
Yeah. A lot of people thought, that was a bad play. That was a bad idea.
Yeah. And look what he's developed. I mean, if you look at him, he doesn't look. I mean, he's he at the press conference he says, "Oh shucks, we won the game." He's such a tough guy to take those hits like he did. He just bounces up, does what he has to do, and very often when a quarterback gets sacked, it's then third down and 15 yards to go, they just hand off the ball to the running back and that's it. That's
just the New York Jets.
Well, but with the Eli Manning, if it's 3rd and 15, he's going to be out there gunning, even if he just got tackled by a 400-pound lineman.
Very true. That's true. So you're picking Eli, then, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Crazy to think that, though, right? I mean,
the way he throws that ball, it's sometimes like it's silly how accurate he is. I mean, yes, he had the wet ball, and some of the passes looked like crazy, but and they were fortunate some of them weren't intercepted when the two 49ers ran into each other
twice.
But how he threads the needle on some of these passes, it's it's crazy how good he is.
All right. Well, there you go. You got it from Radio Mike from King Hills. Thinks Eli's better than Peyton. Thinks the Giants will be better than the Patriots Super Bowl 46. 35-26 is the score. And you're coming to Israel pretty soon, right, Radio Mike?
I'm sorry?
You're coming to Israel pretty soon, right?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay.
He's going to go secure the Vince Lombardi trophy and then bring it over.
Yeah, try to bring it to us. That'd be cool. We could bring it in the studio. That'd be fun.
Yep.
And
all right.
You're buying me a burger or something, right?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
I'll take you out. It'll be my pleasure to take you out.
Excellent.
I can't wait to get to Israel wherever you want to go. It'll be my pleasure to take out. just because you lose the Super Bowl, I got to pep you up a little bit. So
okay. It's not like I'm a Patriots fan. I just think they're going to win. It's not like I'm a fan. If the Giants win, I'll think that's cool, too. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I just think the Patriots will win.
What about Yossi?
Yossi, okay. All right, Yossi's more anti-Giants than pro-Patriots, right, Yossi?
Yeah, well, no, not in this game. At the end of the day, I have to go against I cannot go pick a team that is against my very fiber. I can't pick the Patriots.
All right, Radio Mike.
Even though I know they're going to win.
All right, Radio Mike, we'll figure this all out when you come to Israel. We got to let you go, but thanks for calling in tonight on Louis Live.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, peace. All right, we have not taken a commercial. We're going to let the fun keep on going, and we have another...
I have no problem with that.
Oops. Okay. I believe someone was trying to call in. If so, I apologize. Please try to call back. And again, open phone lines. We do have one guest tonight. Well, I guess New York Neil probably considers himself a guest as well. But Pete Shepard for Patriots.com and, of course, New York Neil. All right, here's our caller back on the air. Caller, you're on Louis Live.
How you doing? It's NBA Dave.
NBA Dave calling in. Wow. Talking a little, no, we'll talk some football still. NBA Dave, I know you're a big Jets fan, but the Giants go to the Super Bowl, have a chance to get their second Super Bowl win in 5 years.
How upset are you at the football gods?
Well, I want to tell you the way I set it up. This is what I'm rooting for Super Bowl Sunday. I'm thinking like this. The planes land in Indianapolis, I don't know, let's say Thursday they get there or something like that, and the bus carrying the Giants collides with the bus carrying the Patriots, and there's a lot of injuries, maybe a few deaths.
Oh.
How's
that?
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that's disgusting. But that's a Jet fan.
I've never heard NBA Dave go to that level.
That's saying right now.
Are you? Do you reside in Staten Island?
No.
On Todd Hill?
Not at all. First of all, right now we're in Jerusalem. But I grew up. I grew up amongst a lot of Giants haters. I can't really call myself a big hater because I'm not a big hater in sports in general. I'm not a big hater. And
sounds like it to me.
And I do like my teams, but I'm not. Listen, it's gonna be fun. The Giants. I can't say that they played a better season. I mean, if you think about it, their season started late. I mean, they really started, getting things going. But football's all about momentum. The Jets lost the momentum. The Jets fell apart. They had that 3 week, of losses in the beginning of the season, and they had, their problems at the end of the season. The Giants got it going, and I picked them to win last night, and I think they can win the Super Bowl.
Well, I definitely think they're going to give the Patriots a run for their money, and I, for one, being that I also chant JETS from time to time, cannot root for the Patriots. Just it would go against my very fiber, and therefore it's kind of like
the Giants beat the Packers. Aren't you
granted? I know, but it's like in this case, it's a lesser of two evils. I'm sorry, just how it is. I got the Yankees and Red Sox. I got the Knicks and the Celtics. I got the Rangers and the Bruins. So it's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I prefer a Giant win over the Patriots. You can't root for the Patriots. The only thing is my dad is a season ticket holder for the Jets for many years, and he tells me today, there's nothing you can do about it. God's a Patriot fan. I mean, look at that field goal last night. I mean, come on. That was 27 yards?
It was 35 yards. The field goal was blown wide left by Myra Kraft. And, a blessed memory. She blew the football left. And, yes, God is a fan of the Patriots because, quite frankly, his nephew's the quarterback and his stepbrother is the coach.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys know the joke about Tebow and Brady in heaven?
I haven't heard this one, I don't believe. What is it?
This is great. This is great. I'm sure some of the listeners have heard this, but I got to say it over anyway. And excuse me all because I'm not a great joke teller. But
something's about to tell me that I've heard this in its original form, which does not include Tim Tebow and Tom Brady.
But
nonetheless,
was it John Elway?
No, it was actually Brett Favre.
Oh, okay. So I think
before
it goes back to Elway,
he left the Packers.
Oh, could be. I've heard. I've gotten this version. Seen it on Facebook. Got an email. Where Brady goes to heaven, and God tells him, "Listen, Tom Brady, great career, Super Bowl, wins, rings, MVP, Pro Bowl, everything. Let me show you your place. You got a nice little house over here in heaven." And God takes him to a place with neat landscaping, decent 2-story house, a little pool, something nice. And as they're walking there, Brady notices this monstrosity of a house with a Denver Broncos-shaped driveway, Tebow jerseys in every window, this huge swimming pool, and all the works. And he says, God, Tebow was a good quarterback and all that, or running back, whatever you want to call him. But, look at my career, look at his career. And God said, oh, no, Tom, that's not Tebow's house. That's my house.
Oh God.
Well, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I knew what was coming there. That's why I'm not really laughing. But yeah, the original version. If you could imagine this, I'll just change it up because of what Brett Favre did. Favre goes to heaven. Same idea. He's being taken around by St. Peter and being shown to his house. Very simple, 3-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms. It's nice. It's all bedecked out in Minnesota Vikings gear. Then he looks across the knoll and sees this ginormous mansion in faded Packers paraphernalia, and he turns to St. Peter and is like, whose house is that? He's like, oh, that's God's house. So, yeah, same idea.
Yeah, but listen, the Patriots, they win. They've gotten a nice amount of wins with some luck or blunders or whatever you want to call it, including last night's field goal. I was sure throughout the game that Baltimore, when Baltimore went up 17-16, and then they recovered. I think the next play was a recovered kickoff. Was that what it was? And I was sure that and that was the last couple minutes of the third quarter. I was sure Baltimore was going to take over the game. Just defensively, they were really on the money. All 4 teams played great games last night. What surprised me the most? Alex Smith, as a quarterback, had a pretty decent game. I wasn't expecting anything out of that. So last night's games were cool, and I'm really looking forward to this. Well, I think it's going to be a great game. Doesn't matter who's playing. Doesn't matter that we hate them, who we hate. Brady, Boston.
Don't be a hater.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Let me ask you guys, what are I think last year Ari, I don't know if Yossi you were in town yet, but Ari and I we watched Super Bowl together at the Gove. What's the hot spots this year? I've been out of it because I've been watching. Last season I did my share of bar hopping every Sunday. This year I've been watching at home when I bought the package. What's the big spot this year for the Super Bowl?
It might be
to be determined.
Well, it might be at my place. We're going to make some announcements regarding the station pretty soon. Some breaking stuff, so it could be at my place. But Yossi is technically correct. It is to be determined. But would you be interested in if it happens and watching it at my place? I have a nice big place in Emmett.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. I come with a +1 because I already made up with a dude that we're gonna see it together. But that sounds great. Yeah, because every football game you can sort of. It's always better to watch with a crowd. Sometimes, especially the 4 o'clock starts over here. It's 11:15, and I want to stay in for that. But Super Bowl, I don't care what time it is. You got to watch that with a crowd,
of course.
Especially when you got the Giants playing the Patriots, and you can come with a Sanchez jersey or a Jets sweatshirt and get spit on from all sides. That's awesome.
Oh God!
And that's what I'm going to do.
Well,
I think the only way it gets better is if you wear a Jets Favre jersey.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Now, actually, we'll just do this on the air. Is there a cheap way I could watch the Super Bowl, like put it on my computer, like one of those sites that like is illegal in the States but legal here?
Oh, well, there's a couple of sites right now, and I'd be glad to share this with all the listeners. There's something, it's called First Row TV or Front Row TV. I'm sorry. I'm going to email you the link, and you can share with listeners because I'm not sure. It's First Row Sports or Front Row Sports. .tv or .com. I'm going to send you a link. That was pretty good, although I did have the package, and of course if I'm not using the package, at my place and I'm joining you, then you can definitely use the NFL package, which is crystal clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's
game set match.
Yeah, I think we got a checkmate there. Okay.
What time is it? Game time.
Oh, so then I think Yossi, you found a place where we're going to watch the game. I think it'll be at my place. The NBA Dave is +1, and maybe we'll get Cali Dave and some of the other callers at Louis Live.
As long as Cali Dave doesn't get drunk.
Make it a little show party, yeah.
I like that. All the celebrities of Israel Sports Radio.
Oh, baby.
And it's cool because because NBA Dave and Cali Dave, they're both, Cali Dave is not as elite.
So long as Cali Dave doesn't get drunk.
Okay, yeah, we don't want that. But Cali Dave is not at the level of NBA Dave, but it'd be kind of cool for them to meet. I mean, they're two legends of Israel Sports Radio, and they never shook hands before. That's kind of cool.
Listen, we've never met. I've heard him on radio, and I assume he's heard me, but no, we've never met. That'll be fun. This radio station and this show, Louis Live and the Andy and Ari show, I've made a lot of friends through it. I've gotten to know some celebrities through that, other than the broadcasters themselves. I got to know Corey Carr.
Oh, right.
He's a Facebook friend of mine. I spoke with him on the radio. I got to talk to David Blue. I got to, I spoke, or maybe you relayed a question to Kenny Albert, and that's probably exciting for Yossi G, the Kenny Albert, right? Because I know he's hockey.
It's always a good time.
Well, happy. I'm happy you made all those connections, and hopefully we'll make a couple more. I've never really planned a Super Bowl party like less than a couple months in advance, but we'll do it 2 weeks in advance. We'll put
Better
something
late
together.
than never.
Better late than never. We'll put something together. Get kind of hectic as we'll reveal later on in the week why it's been so hectic. But all right, so we'll figure something out. NBA Dave, if you can't send me we just gave some match. Yes, we have the NFL package from courtesy of NBA Dave. Okay. All right, good.
That's locked down. All
right, so we'll start to put
now
something
we have to
together.
Figure out who's going to be the food and beverage package.
Yeah, listen, we need the wings package. You know what I mean? There's no Super Bowl without wings. I'll never forget. You know what? I'll never forget the last time the Giants met the Patriots. It's not that long ago. It's not hard to remember, but I'll never forget what I came home with. And my wife said, go pick up some food. Just get something light because it's late, so maybe get some chips or something. And we were watching a game with another couple, and we left the wives at home, and I went with my friends. We went to KFC, and we brought home everything that KFC had left. Every piece of chicken. I said, just give me whatever you have. And we were eating chicken wings straight through the night. 7 o'clock. The game was over. We're like, damn, I can't even have a coffee. Yeah.
All right, NBA Day. Well, thanks for calling in and letting us know that we could watch courtesy of you. We'll try to figure out something.
Now this is all in Ari's head.
Oh yeah. I'm going to be thinking of this for weeks, but until the actual game, of course. So we'll figure something out. I guess I'll have to have part of milk, or I don't know. If people want some milk, like in their coffee, I hear that. That's a good point.
Then just become Dutch for the night.
Oh yeah, Dutch is good. Dutch is 1 hour or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Torah, Minhag, Chal Yisrael, what's the word?
Yeah, Dutch.
Oh, we'll all be Dutch. Oh, I gotcha. Okay, fair enough. All right, NBA Dave, thanks for calling in. I guess go buses colliding. I'm just kidding. I don't want that.
Yeah.
No. But
come on. I was kidding. The spirit of sportsmanship. We want to see a good game. We don't, Now, I wish everybody, the greatest health and, that's just a joke I say before every rivalry game.
But you can wear your Sanchez jersey, actually. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to wear something green. That's for sure.
All right, cool. All right, NBA Dave, we'll be in touch.
Great show.
All right, man. Peace.
Take care.
All right, we've gone 45 minutes without taking a commercial, actually a little more than that, and we're going to continue that fun by playing a song before we bring on our first guest, because I feel like it, and I can't. What song would you like to listen to, Yossi G?
I
don't think it's a song. Let's see here. Just for the hell of it, T-Bowie by Jimmy Fallon. I just can't get enough of that song. I played that song on this station already twice. This
is about to be thrice.
Yeah, this is going to be thrice, and I really just can't get enough of it. So this is Jimmy Fallon pretending to be David Bowie, singing about Tim Tebow and his relationship with Jesus Christ. They talk back and forth, and it is genius stuff. If you don't think this is funny, then you're stupid. So we'll play this song, and then when we come back on the other side, we're going to have New York Neil, who's been a Giants fan for a long, long time. And when he was on the New York sports show, he was a Giants fan. Big Mike was the Jets fan, and they used to go back and forth. And Big Mike gave him a ribbon last couple of years because the Jets 2 AFC championship appearances, and now it's New York Neil's turn. So We'll play the song
Too
here.
bad it doesn't have a show anymore.
We'll work on that. We're going to play the song on the other side. It's New York Neil. You're listening to Louis Live at IsraelSportsRadio.com.
For the first time, Tim Tebow and David Bowie together as one. Ladies and gentlemen, T. Bowie.
Tim Tebow to Jesus Christ. Tim Tebow to Jesus Christ. Can't win by myself, but with your help I might. Tim Tebow to Jesus Christ. Commencing forth down hut hike. Snap the football and may God's love be with me. This is Jesus Christ to Tim Tebow. Please leave me alone. Don't you know my day of rest is Sunday? And I'm sick of watching all these Broncos games. I hear that you play New England next week. Dude, you're on your own. Brady is too good and I got better things to do. No, I've left 316 yards. There's still 2 games to go. If I want to make it to the Super Bowl and show every...
All right, back here on Louis Live. That cut out a little earlier than planned, but that's okay. Now, on the line now, and he's going to really... Oh, there we go. He's going to really enjoy this. He's going to really, really enjoy this because when he was on the New York Sports Show, he had to take a lot of ribbon for Big Mike Gottleman and his big fat mouth about the Jets, blah, 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 blah. And now it's his chance to shine with the Giants' victory. On the line now, New York Neil Amrani. How you doing, Neil?
What's still, buddy? Long night.
Yeah, longer night for Kyle Williams. How bad? You're obviously happy the Giants are winning, but how bad do you feel for the kid? The 2 punt fumbles.
I'll have to be honest with you. I didn't feel bad at all. As a matter of fact, I literally jumped out of my chair and woke up the entire apartment building and enjoyed it. Now, the truth is that obviously he wasn't their main returner. I think he was looking to make something happen in a game that defense was dominating, give or take a few big plays. But you know what? That's this game. Turnovers, and I really felt San Francisco did exactly what they wanted to do as far as putting pressure on Eli. With the hits, they were on him all game long. But in the end, mistakes cost them, and they were the least turnover team in the league. And the Giants deserve to be there. That's it. They played the game. They beat the teams they had to beat. They beat a 15-1 team in Green Bay. They beat the Niners. They beat the best teams out there in their conference, and now it's a rematch.
Now the Giants, you could say what you want about the 9-7 record, but they've had a tougher road to get to the Super Bowl than the Patriots. Patriots had a pretty easy record, especially the second half of the season.
This is the first team that they beat that finished the season better than 500.
For the Patriots, yes. So what do you think about that, Neil? Do you think the Giants kind of battle-tested going into Super Bowl 46?
That's a great question. I mean, New England obviously presents a tremendous amount of problems. I mean, their tight ends, Welker, and their receiving core, and of course Brady. I think the Giants are coming together. Obviously, I'm not going to pick against them. I think it's going to be a tremendously tough game. Mistakes again will play huge. And like in 2007, I think the Giants have to get pressure on Brady, and they have to have turnovers to win this game. It's going to be crucial. I mean, that's how they played the game when they beat him 24-20, and Eli had a fourth-quarter comeback this season, and I believe that's going to be crucial. Are the Giants more battle-tested? you know what? They got healthy at the right time, and everything gelled. And, they just are playing on a different level right now. Did they dominate yesterday? They absolutely did not dominate the game. But they hung in there, and they're not afraid to play on the road. And I think they have as good a shot to win as anybody.
Now, who do you see the fact that this game is going to be in Indianapolis? Is there any extra pressure now put on Eli Manning's shoulders because he's got to win in Peyton's house?
I don't take any stock in that. I mean, I personally believe that, each quarterback, that's putting undue, that's media talk right now. Eli has to go out there.
That's what we do.
And, yeah, but he's got to do what he's been doing all season. This year, he has not made the crucial turnover. He is, he's taken the sack when he's had to. He's thrown it away when he's had to. And he's just been, as far as I'm concerned, he's in the top 3, top 4 in the NFL this year on his play, and he deserves to be voted to the Pro Bowl, and he's got a shot. If he wins this, he goes to the Hall of Fame.
Well,
big statement, but
no, I don't think that's such a big statement because I brought that up last week about is his bust being shined right now in Canton, especially if he goes ahead and goes to the Super Bowl, because once he goes to the Super Bowl, as he is now on his way, no matter what happens to him from this point forward, he's done as much success-wise as his brother Peyton, if not actually better, because he's been in less playoff appearances and has a better winning percentage in the postseason. He's a much better clutch player than Peyton.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. In defense of Peyton on that call, he's never had the surrounding cast that Eli's had. He's never had a defense, as dominant. He's never had, really good backs that can run the ball and control the game. I mean,
one second. Edgerrin James is not a good back. Joseph Adai is not a good back.
Is Edgerrin James good? Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Neither is any of the Giant backs. But the point I'm making is, did he have the defense the Giants had in the years that the Giants went to the Super Bowl? He's never had that.
He had Mathis.
He's had a great.
He had Dwight
receiver.
Freeney.
He's had a great who?
Dwight Freeney.
Yeah,
Mathis.
Okay. I mean, Freeney's okay. He's not. I don't believe he was never in the league of a guy like Strahan, or anybody of that matter. I just think that Eli's standing on his own merit, and you know what? We should not compare them. We should just, each guy they're playing in a different conference. They're facing different teams every year, and Eli is finally getting the credit that he deserves. I mean, listen, they made everything out of Alex Smith this past, week because of the catch. But it's one season. Eli's had a career already. He's had a Super Bowl win.
I think it was more like the grab as opposed to the catch, but nonetheless. I'm
understood. Well, they call it the catch. They said yesterday it was the catch squared. I mean, they can call it the grab. They can call it the catch. In any case,
we're going to call it the tears.
Do you believe, Yossi, do you believe it makes a season? I mean,
no, definitely not. There's the way the sports fans' mind works is what just happened is everything.
Well, listen, it's what have you done for me lately?
Right. What did you do for me, just now? And
well, listen, if you want to get back and talk about the game, what do you feel was the biggest key to the game?
To which game?
To the Giant game.
The overtime second fumble was the biggest deal.
The biggest deal, right? But leading up to that, there was a lot of, did Bradshaw fumble? Was that a fumble?
His
forward progress was stopped.
Right. And also the fact that the 49ers DBs can't watch out for each other, that was also a big problem. They knock each other out quite literally.
I happen to think that something that goes overlooked was the fact that, they were 1 for 13 on
first downs. And they only got that first down at the end of the fourth quarter.
That's exactly right. I mean, the Giants had, they controlled the time of possession. They had almost double the amount of plays. It was an even game total yards. But in the end, it's amazing how the Giants just abandoned the run because they felt they couldn't run the ball. And yet, they almost ended up with they ended up with 85 yards, but 58 passes going into the game. if any quarterback throws 58 passes, it's you're thinking they're losing.
Indeed, and that's what usually happens, which is kind of why it was a shock that well, of course, these are now Giants postseason records, most completions and attempts, but you never would have thought, if you did not know the score, that with somebody who's throwing 58 times that he would turn out to be the victor. But I think also with this game, when you look at what happened with Kyle Williams, the fact that he did fumble twice on special teams, yes, it's not his natural position. Yes, that's where Tenkit Jr. usually is. Before the first fumble, the punt beforehand, he got absolutely smoked. He got rocked by the Giants special team, by one of their flyers. And I actually think it was kind of brought to my attention only afterwards, but after it was brought to my attention, it did click. I think he actually has a concussion. And the 49ers...
Let's be realistic. He did go off on a 40-yard return after that, didn't he? That set up the score for the Niners. So I don't know necessarily if that's the case.
David Wells pitched a perfect game when he was drunk.
They call that a fumble. It was just a bonehead play. He had no right to be near that ball. And the fact that it hit him, and that, and the Giants special teams picked it up, and even he attempted to take it in, it was just a heads-up play. I mean,
definitely. I'm giving props to the Giants players for that, for knowing the situation, knowing where they are on the field. Again, this is not Kyle Williams' natural position, and the fact that he's getting death threats on Twitter it's just beyond words. I don't even know how to describe it. It's awful. It's disgusting.
I saw a great quote today. He's going to become the Bill Buckner of the Niners. And you know what? It's a shame because, listen, it is what it is, and that's sports, and it's nationally televised, and it's worldwide. And, unfortunately, a young kid is going to have to go through his whole career remembering one game.
Well, that's why I say, Ari mentioned in the beginning of the telecast, beginning of the program, do the 49ers cut Williams and say goodbye, and he's never going to find himself in a 49ers uniform again? I said absolutely not. What Jim Harbaugh should do is pull him aside and say, look, everybody has a bad game. It's not your fault. It happens. The greatest have had bad games. Come back next season, put yourself in the training camp, and you'll see. You make the team, you make the team. You don't make the team, then that's it. I mean, just give him a fair shot to prove himself.
I totally agree with that comment. And they came out right after the game, and they didn't put it all on him. And that's exactly what they should do. But in the end, this is really all about the Giants, and not about a lack of how the 49ers played, but how well the Giants have been on the road this year, and basically having 5 playoff games to get there, because after that Washington debacle, Ari's good friend Andy was messaging me that my party is over, and I just kept telling him, wait till it all plays out, and let's see where everything ends up.
Well, you were telling that to East Coast Andy, and Tom Coughlin, the Colonel, was telling that to his players. Hey, look, we win out, we're still in, so don't pay any attention, pay no heed to that which the media is saying. You win, you're in. You still control your own destiny.
Absolutely. And that's the great thing. And that's the great thing about sport, whether it's the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL especially. It's not how you play in the beginning of the season, it's how you end up. And they got healthy. They got their key personnel on. The Giants, listen, one of the keys for the Giants is rotation of the defensive line. Always has been in at least years, and will continue to be as long as he's there. The real question to ask is if Coughlin wins, will he retire?
That's a great question because he's done, 2 Super Bowl wins is going to put him in the category of Parcells and a lot of great coaches. And not just the Giants history at all. All right, New York Neil, we got to run. We got to take a break, but thanks for calling in tonight on Louis Live.
Thanks a lot, guys. Go Giants, baby.
Go Giants, indeed. All right, be well as New York Neil. Actually, let's not take a break. The phone calls are just lining up. Everyone wants to get on, talk about Super Bowl 46. It's jam-packed.
I understand.
Lines are full.
It's a Super Bowl. Doesn't happen every year. Or every week, I should say.
Okay, good. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. Caller, you're on Louis Live.
Hey, Ari, this is Daniel from Tel Aviv.
All right.
A little late.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure to have you on. The fans, of course, love to have you on this program. What were your thoughts of both the NFC and the AFC title games?
Oh, I thought we got the drama that we wanted from both games. A lot of drama. I think in terms of the game itself of entertainment, I enjoyed the 49ers Giants game a little bit. I thought the New England game against Baltimore was going to be maybe a little more attractive, but boy, I thought it was an ugly game. It was like a gutted out type of game. Whoever was going to win had to really gut it out. And
Well,
I was surprised at the end at the missed kick. I mean, but it fit the type of game that we saw, I think.
Brady had a terrible game, 2 interceptions, a QB rating under 60, not used to that from Tom Terrific. He admitted as much so that he sucked on the platform of the AFC Trophy presentation, but he got it done, and the great ones figure out a way to get it done even when they're not at their best.
Well, the QB sneak that he did was spectacular. He just threw himself in there. If you watch the replays, he got bent in half by Ray Lewis. So
he did. Hey, before we continue, because I was watching the game with a lot of Raven fans, or a lot of Baltimore Raven fans, of course, in Jerusalem. One of them said this was probably Ray Lewis's last game.
Ed Reed.
And Ed Reed. What are your thoughts about that?
You know what? I won't be surprised. I would like to see Ray Lewis come back one more year and give it another shot with this team. I mean, the team that they've been building for the last couple of years in Baltimore, they seem to get better every year, and I think they're missing. I don't know. They're one key ingredient away from making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's called a win.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, they're missing. I don't know, one more elite player to take him over that hump. I think. I don't know. Maybe in the quarterback position. I know a lot was said about Joe Flacco. I thought he was great in the game.
How many more elite players can you have on a team? I mean, there's only so many that you can have. Look, the New York Rangers and the NHL decided to go ahead and buy all-star players. Look what happened with them. How many key elite players can you have? You need to have the blue collars, because what's going to happen is otherwise your team turns into the New York Jets.
True, but I mean, just look at how many Pro Bowlers the Patriots have. Look how many great players the Packers have. Even the Giants, look how many great players they have.
And let me ask you, how many of those players on the Patriots did you hear of before this season?
That's true, but that's always something that works out with Bill Belichick teams. They sign a couple. They have a couple big stars already established, but they always have someone come from the ranks, and they're always solid for 3, 4, 5 years, and you hear about them. I mean, that's why they stay so competitive.
So that's where it is key in drafting, and key in signing the right free agents, the right veteran free agents. It's not necessarily having to stock your roster with elite players, because A, you won't have the money to pay them, and B, that's way too many egos. If you're an elite player, you have an ego. It kind of comes hand in hand. You got to have your players who you have your bricks, but you have to have your mortar in between the bricks in order to make that building stand.
Well, I'll give you an example. Look at the teams that usually win the Super Bowl, like lately. What's the difference between those teams and the Ravens, for example? In my opinion, if the Ravens were to get, for example, let's say a Peyton Manning type of player, someone who might become available soon, I would, imagine the Ravens with Peyton Manning as quarterback. I would definitely love their chances to make it to the Super Bowl and win the whole thing. With that defense, now you add, a bigger offensive punch.
Well, that's the thing with the teams, is you're not going to find a team that is wholly competent on both sides of the football to the extent of how, say, the Packers play on offense. They are awful on defense. And for the same token, the Patriots, how they play on offense, they're solid on defense, and that's pretty much the extent of where you're going to find it. You're going to be hard-pressed to find any team that is going to be elite on both sides of the football because they generally, this goes with the coaching staff, focus on one side of that coin because to focus on both sides, it's just too much. And the Baltimore Ravens are a defensive-minded team first. If they have the opportunity to get Peyton, trust me, they'll take him. But I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to be very fine right now with Joe Flacco. He's proven that, especially when he gets called out, he can play, especially when he's not on his skateboard and he's skating down his driveway. The skater boy can actually throw a football. But you have to understand, at the same token, they went out and got him threats. They got him receivers. It's not just Anquan Bolden anymore. It's also Lee Evans. How he did not pull in that football at the end of the game for a touchdown is still beyond me. But that said, they've gone out and gotten him those additions to help that team propel. And at the end of the day, the game is played by humans. Mistakes happen. Why haven't the Colts with their great quarterback, why have they only won a single Super Bowl? And that's it.
Well, I mean, another example, when was the last time or when have you heard of a team, a Super Bowl team repeating, the Super Bowl win? It's unheard of.
About 10 years ago.
But if you look at a team like the Patriots, they stay consistent. Apart from this year, if you look at a team like the Colts, they stay consistent. They're there. The Ravens, they're fairly consistent. It's just, but in a sport like football, with so many injuries and so many factors, and you never know, how well your opponent's gonna play. 1 week, 1 week maybe they're off, and next week they might play the best game of their life against you. It's impossible to be able to say, you guys should win. You should be winning every Super Bowl. In that case, we'd be saying a team like New England or Green Bay, they're just going to win every year. But it just doesn't work that way in the NFL. It really doesn't. And we saw it again this year with the Packers.
It is all about coaching, and that's it. That's the bottom line. Even if you have a decent team, if you're the coach of that team could get the best out of his players and make them better and expand and extend forget about their potential, but what they have, he can channel their energies, what they are able to put out onto the football field. That is what makes a team consistently good. You don't have to look any farther than the aforementioned teams. They all have good coaching. Now, the Colts, well, Jim Caldwell is kind of, it's like having a bag of stones on the sideline with a headset on. Or for that matter, it's like having Joe Buck on the sideline with a headset on, coaching your team, because essentially all he's going to do is smile and wave and say, okay, you, Peyton Manning, you're calling the plays essentially, so go ahead, do your thing, and I'm just going to worry about the defense. Now, Jim Caldwell has done a god-awful job on the defense. In the 3 years he was the head coach, the defense in Indianapolis ranked 18, 20, and 25 respectively. So I'm not going to say that Jim Caldwell is even a good coach because he was given the keys to a Cadillac. Now that he got fired, he obviously realized that Caddy did not zig. Nonetheless, he was given the opportunity to prove himself. What Tony Dungy did for the Colts was kind of like what Bill Belichick is currently still doing for the Patriots. You get good draft picks, you find those diamond in the roughs, and then you go ahead and mine it. You go and you take what you have and make it work for you. You play them to your strengths and minimize their weaknesses.
No, and I completely agree with you. Coaching is huge in the NFL. I mean, not just the X's and O's, but also how you motivate guys. And I don't know if you guys. I was watching the telecast yesterday right before the 49ers game, and they had a great piece on an interview with Alex Smith, and he was talking about how important it was, you're getting his pregame routine with the coach. How much it will pump him up, and having that support. You could tell that how much confidence that would give him.
Almost definitely, and we saw it as soon as that interview finished. They actually showed Harbaugh kind of slapping around Alex Smith, but that's that pregame ritual, if you may, where he kind of, it's like, don't hit him too hard. You might, concuss him or
the
something.
players love Harbaugh, especially after Singletary.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's a vacation and a
Vernon
half.
Davis is like, oh, thank you. Thank you.
I think in every sport you could say that players love coaches who can, who don't just know the game, but
Or are not full of themselves.
But can really find a way to connect with you on a personal, players, coaches. Not only are they good in the X's and O's, but they're great at dealing with personalities. And football has a couple of guys like that. Sports like in basketball, you can see how much difference it makes when a locker room loses that voice. And when you have a coach that can motivate you every week, even if you might not have the greatest talent, it can get you. It can get you pretty. It can get you to the Super Bowl.
Well, the weird thing is the two coaches in this Super Bowl are not players, coaches. They're the opposite, but they still are great at managing personalities.
Well, I mean, the other point is, for example, Belichick. I think he has a certain persona that is portrayed in the media and the way he carries himself. I think behind the scenes he's liked by the players, and I think he's probably a good motivator. Not only is he great at finding talent and cultivating it, but I'm pretty sure the guy knows how to deal with people. I mean, you have to be that successful.
Winning cures all.
That's true.
Well, I'll tell you, by the way, we're going to have Pete Shepard on in a few minutes, and he says that Bill Belichick's actually a really nice guy. He kind of does that for the media because he doesn't like the media, and you can't really blame him because sometimes
been around for a
jerks.
while.
Yeah.
I'll give you another example. I'll give you a backstory with Phil Jackson, his relationship with the media. He was, that dry sense of humor that, I don't really care about, what I tell you guys, but, behind the scenes, all his players will tell you the same thing, that they eventually they love playing for him, and they love his office, and they love the way he would deal with them, and how he would encourage self improvement as well. Treating them as individuals, as adults, and not like do things my way. This is the way you got to do it. It's motivation comes a long way. It's how you get players to buy into your system, into your offense, your defense. That's how you get players to buy into it.
Absolutely. All right, Daniel. Before we let you go, let's get a prediction. What is your score, and who will win Super Bowl 46?
I think New England gets payback on the Giants. I think it's going to be a tight game. It's going to go back and forth. I think it's going to be the prettiest game. It's not going to be the prettiest Super Bowl. And I think prediction, New England wins by a field goal, 24-21.
24-21. Okay, Daniel from Tel Aviv has Patriots winning 24-21. All right, Daniel, thank you so much for calling in to Louis Live tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right. That was Daniel from Tel Aviv calling, saying 24-21 Patriots. We'll make our predictions at the end of the show.
Why at the end of the show?
You want to do it right now?
No. Make it Thursday before a Super Bowl. As per normal.
All right, fair enough. I'll tell you what, though, before I make the prediction, just some thoughts in my mind. Patterns would indicate that it's going to be a blowout because the Super Bowl, pretty much to the T, has been close game, blowout, close game, whatever. I wouldn't say there hasn't been a blowout in the Super Bowl. Well, I need to back up a little bit.
What is a blowout?
Great question. There you go. I'd say anything over, when I say blowout, I mean anything over 14 points.
Okay.
Now, we haven't had one of those games in a while.
Yes.
I mean, last year was within 14 points. Super Bowl 44, Saints-Colts was in 14 points. 43, Steelers-Cardinals in 14 points. 42, obviously. 41, I could argue was a blowout, even though I don't think it was. I think it might have been within 14 points. 40 was 21-10. but it felt like a blowout because even though there's bad calls, but the Steelers had dominance of the game. 39 was close. There hasn't been a game really over 14 points in a while, and I'm tempted to pick that. The problem is the Patriots schedule. I have the Patriots winning, but the Patriots schedule has been so weak, and the Giants have played such good teams. You figure like the game will be closer, so I'm not leaning towards blowout right now. I'll think that over. Yeah, just something to think about.
That's your mind working overtime.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking this. I tend to think this over. And again, call it obsessive compulsive, whatever, but I did have the championship round correctly. I went with the pattern that one away team wins in the title game for whatever reason, and that's why I picked past the Giants.
The Giants were the only team. You want to go patterns? Okay, the Giants have been the only team thus far this postseason to win on the road. And they did it not once already, but they did it twice. So there you go. Maybe now, the Giants might actually win because they're, on the road again.
Yeah, but the Patriots are also they haven't won on the road here, just saying. It's weird to call the Super Bowl a road game, though. Neutral field.
I'm just saying. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Hell, I could argue it's more of a home game because of the Manning thing. Colts fans are probably going to be rooting for Eli.
Well, yeah, because they don't like the Patriots.
And they don't like the Patriots.
Remember, the Colts used to be in the AFC East.
Well, not just that. They used to be good, and they were rivals with the Patriots when they were good. They weren't. Let me put it this way: they haven't been bad for so long. This was just such a bad season. Last year they were competitive.
Like a whole year they were bad.
Yeah, it was a whole year they were bad. Last year they were rivals with the Patriots. Anyways, we're going to take a break. On the other side, from Patriots.com, Pete Shepard. You're listening to Louis Live and IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Back here on Louis Live, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to bring on our next guest. He is from Patriots.com. He correctly called the Patriots victories 2 times already this postseason. Pete Shepard. Pete, how you doing out there?
Well, I've just seen Jarvis Green once again try and sack Eli Manning about 9 times already. And to me, I still don't know how. I mean, today's rules, it would have been ruled a sack because his forward progress was absolutely stopped. But that's the play from 2007 or 2008, technically, that sticks in my mind. I just cannot believe. I don't know how Eli didn't go down on that play.
No, it's true.
I mean, Jarvis Green had him, 3 times, stopped his forward progress, and he was. It's just unbelievable. I'm already sick of seeing it.
Well, I'm sure they showed it once or twice. We're doing pretty good, but I'll tell you, that's one thing that my partner keeps bringing up, the difference between Eli and Peyton. He says Peyton would have gone down pretty much in a heartbeat from that sack.
Would have gone down on the first grab. He wouldn't have to go after him 2 more times.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but I understand what you're saying. And Eli's moved ahead of his brother a little bit here.
Yeah, well,
as far as clutch performances in big games, I mean, you got to take it off to Eli. He's one guy I never thought would develop into what he is. He's still played a lot of bad football this year at times, but you cannot deny what he did in the fourth quarter of games this year, and I do agree that he's definitely one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks now. I don't know how anybody can't say that he's not, because he does come through in big games, and he had great fourth quarter comebacks this year. So I think finally I've just come to terms that he's a great quarterback, and somebody I never thought would be a great quarterback.
Well, I'll tell you, the comparison between him and his brother, if you want to go just the playoffs, which is what you'd want to do if you favor Eli has 7 postseason victories. Peyton, I believe, 9. And Peyton is 6 years older than Eli, and Peyton's record in the postseason below 500, 9-10. So postseason, Eli has it in spades.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, he's won a lot of games on the road, playoff games on the road, too. So, look, he comes up big in big games. No getting around it. He is an elite quarterback, no question. Now, is he in Brady's class? No. Rodgers' class? No. Breeze? No, but he's close, but not there yet.
Well,
Brady's going to go down as the greatest of all time when it's all said and done.
You took the words out of my mouth.
But Eli's a great quarterback.
Well, the funny thing is, because we were just about to mention that Eli in the offseason said, I am an elite quarterback, and he said he was in Brady's class.
And everybody laughed at him.
Everyone laughed at him, and I'm not saying he is, but he will have a chance to beat Tom Brady twice in 5 years in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, certainly. He's beaten him. He beat him this year already. Well, I blame that. The game that the Patriots lost this year to the Giants really what came down to, because Brady let it down to a great fourth quarter drive. Patriots had a lead, and this is why that game this year in the regular season was so eerily similar to what happened in that Super Bowl was, Eli comes down the field, but Sergio Brown, it'd be one thing if Eli marched him down the field and really did his thing. I could have accepted it more, but Sergio Brown had that stupid, dumbass pass interference penalty. It was 39 yards. It was a good call. I'm not saying it was a bad call. It was just a horrible play by Sergio Brown, and that was a big chunk of yardage on that drive at the end. So, and again, every game is different. I'm really looking forward to it. But Eli, no getting around saying that Eli is not a great quarterback, because he definitely is.
And he got the record yesterday for Giants postseason yardage, had over well over 320. Now, not well over, but over 320. Now, one of the things we mentioned a few weeks ago, the concept of the Patriots playing for Myra Kraft, and you said that is certainly a legitimate thing. Obviously the MHK they wear on the uniform, and one of the touchdowns early in the ballgame for the Patriots when Ben Jarvis Green Ellis ran it in, he pointed to MHK several times. So that still is being talked about in the locker room, obviously, when this went for Myra.
Oh, no question. If you ask every one of those guys individually, I think they will tell you. And I think, I heard a story this week that I didn't realize happened in the Miami game when they were down 17-0. Somebody had brought the picture was in the locker room at halftime, and somebody took it out at halftime, and that's when you saw what the Patriots did after that. They came out and scored or it might have been the Buffalo game. I think it was the Buffalo game when they were down 21-0, and they came out. Somebody brought that picture up at halftime, and they went out and scored 49 unanswered points. So I think to a man it means a lot to those guys. You saw Mr. Kraft yesterday, how emotional he was, and I do think it is a big-time motivational factor, as if they needed anything else. But certainly they do want to win this one really badly for Mr. Kraft.
Do you think that the missed field goal that Myra Kraft had anything to do with that?
Oh, no question. Well, if it wasn't Myra, it would obviously be Tim Tebow. No. I just think I blame the Baltimore Ravens. Look, he should have made the field goal. But if you notice, he kicked that with either 1 or 2 seconds left on the play clock. There was something uncomfortably. It seemed uncomfortably rushed, that play, and he still should have made it because it was a clean snap and a clean hold, and he choked. No question about it. But I was just on another show in Boston. I was saying the same thing. The one thing the Patriots very, very rarely do in playoff games is not outthink themselves, but they don't play stupid. They are prepared. And Belichick stresses this all the time: preparation, preparation, preparation. They do not poop their pants in situations like you see so many other playoff teams do. And Baltimore did it a couple times yesterday, and despite Flacco playing very well and all that stuff, they made some boneheaded plays down the stretch.
Now, that kick actually reminded me of Mike Vanderjagt, that kick with the Colts against the Steelers. It looked like he wanted no part of that moment. The way it went wide left, it had no chance of making it at all. It wasn't like it was short distance.
No.
He was terrified.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's tough. Some guys have it. Some that's why Mariano Vinatieri, such a great kicker. He was always clutch. Gostowski, when he's been called upon, has been pretty clutch. He hasn't had a lot of huge opportunities like Adam did or had over the years to win playoff games, but he's been there, and he's been pretty clutch. But you're right. Some guys can do it, and some guys can't. They should have. I just didn't like. You saw Cam Cameron get pushed by Harbaugh there during one of those plays. Something wasn't right. I don't know what it was, but the Ravens just seemed a little off in that particular spot. I thought why would you take? Look, the play clock ran all the way down to 2 seconds before they decided to snap the ball. I don't know. It just. When he missed it, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't completely shocked. I thought he would make it, but I was screaming to my friends. I was like, look at this, the play, they're going to get 5 yards back. They're going to get a delay of game penalty. And then, like you said, it was not even close. Do I feel bad for him? No.
On that note, should they have taken the delay of game penalty, get backed up 5 more yards? I mean, it's 35 yards or 40 yards, still a makeable field goal, and then approach the situation, approach the attempt with a clear conscience, so to speak, a clear mind, not being rushed, having the time.
I got to go back. I thought they had a timeout left. I could be wrong. I thought they had a timeout left. So I thought they might use it there, but I guess not. And, I don't know. I don't know if they should have taken a delay game penalty. It was a clean snap and a clean hold. So he wide left, laces out. What was it, Lace Ventura movie,
Right.
Laces out. I mean, the laces were fine. It's just, he blew it.
Yeah.
He blew it.
Straight out. Now, a lot of implications, Super Bowl 46. I mean, so many stories, a lot of details, the concept of revenge for the Patriots. But one of the things I want to touch upon is if Tom Brady gets this 4th Super Bowl win, ties in with Montana. Obviously, Brady's better than Bradshaw. But if Brady gets this win, is he the greatest ever?
I think you have to say that he is. I mean, he and Belichick already have the most postseason wins as a tandem. If Brady wins, he surpasses Joe Montana in playoff victories. If they win the Super Bowl, I think you have to say he is the greatest of all time. And you can. I mean, it's semantics, but I think he'll always be linked with Joe Montana, 1 and 1A. But who's to say if they win this one, they're not going to win another one or 2 more? I mean,
sure.
It's just who knows. I mean, that's why I think you have to wait to see. When it's all said and done, another maybe 5 years from now, because I think he's going to play for at least 5 more years if he stays healthy. So, but I do think when it's all said and done, that Tom Brady will be remembered as the greatest quarterback of all time.
And also, don't forget, now he's entering his 5th Super Bowl, tied for the most all time with John Elway.
Yeah, exactly. And what's amazing is they could have won 2 other ones. That's what's amazing. It really should. I mean, 2007. You're thinking of miracle plays the Giants needed to win that game, and
And then they even had a chance at the end.
Right. Tom
he threw a bomb to Randy Moss that went through his hands.
Yeah, and the other one was, and maybe Belichick's one of his better coaching jobs also was 2006 when they were up by 3 touchdowns on the
Colts.
Indianapolis Colts. And unfortunately, you had to have Eric Alexander out there because the team was so flu-bitten from the San Diego game that they somehow managed to win that one. But they steamrolled Indianapolis early, and then they just ran out of gas. And Eric Alexander, unfortunately, was down to their 5th-string players, and he's had to cover Dallas Clark because there's no question the Patriots win that game, they would have destroyed the Bears in that Super Bowl. So they're like 2 plays away possibly from winning 2 more Super Bowls. That's the scary part.
Yeah, certainly, and it's interesting that because Brady, for whatever reason, you kind of think, but I think some people would say maybe he's towards the end, but 5 more years does make sense, and could win 2 Super Bowls in that period, and could be 5 victories at least in Super Bowls.
I mean, I don't know why people say he's anywhere near the end. Most quarterbacks peak in their 30s anyway. Number one, he was unanimous MVP last year. If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers having the year he had, he'd be either first or second this year on MVP voting. He's probably going to get third. But there's a lot of people, even outside New England, I heard that said they might even vote for him as number 1 because of all the pressure that he had on him this year to, especially the first half of the season when the defense was just trying to find themselves. Now, as I've been saying for the last month and a half to a lot of people, you have to consider this defense. I mean, what they have done, they've done a pretty good job. I know Flacco had some yards yesterday, obviously, but overall, the Patriots defense has really stepped up here the last month or so, and particularly the last couple of weeks. And I know the Buffalo-Miami game looked ugly in the first half. In the second half, as I said, they were shut down, and the Patriots were the best second-half team in football last year regarding points allowed in the second half, where they only gave up an average of 7. And you saw it again. What happened yesterday? Baltimore ended up with 10 points in the second half yesterday, but that's still damn good. And you saw what the defense did when they needed to, stepping up, making plays. Vince Wilfork was a beast, absolute beast on several plays. He was the player of the game yesterday.
Now, what would you say to those who are favoring the Giants or say, hey, the Giants had a tough road to get here. The Patriots' schedule, especially in the second half, was pretty weak. The Ravens were the first team they beat with above 500 record. So what are your thoughts to that the Patriots had an easy road to get to Super Bowl 46?
No, I think I talked about this with you guys last time about, the people who talk about the Patriots didn't beat anybody with a winning record. It's ridiculous. You have to take into consideration when they beat those. First of all, the teams they beat don't have winning records because they beat them. That's why they finished at 500. That's why they finished at 500. The other thing is, you got to take into consideration when they played them. When they played the Jets the second time, the Jets had won 3 in a row. Everybody was anointing them the next, AFC East champions. Right. Patriots went on the road, blasted them by 3 touchdowns. Before that, even when they lost to Buffalo, the next week they went out to Oakland. Half the planet thought they were going to lose that game, traveling across country. It was ridiculous. They blasted Oakland in Oakland. They shut down McFadden. Then they had to go to deal with Philadelphia. Philadelphia was playing for their playoff lives. Everything was on the line with them. They get out to a 10-0 lead. Patriots come back and whack them again. They beat them by 3 touchdowns, 18 points. Then they have to go to Denver and deal with all that garbage. When Denver was riding a 6-game winning streak on the foot of Prater and a couple of pick sixes, but everybody's talking Tebow. When if you really looked at the games and saw what they were all about, you'd see, he had about 25 to 30% of the reason why Denver was winning. But still, all that hype on the road. You saw it happen in the first quarter, and then they hold them to 82 yards after that in rushing, and they beat them by 3 touchdowns. So. There's when people talk about records and out playing that game, it doesn't work. Look at the Giants. They lost this year twice to Washington, and I mean recently, a month ago, they lost to the Redskins, for crying out loud, badly at home. They've lost to Seattle at home, but you can't play that game. I mean, Denver beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Patriots beat Baltimore. So it's who plays better on that particular day. Usually, it comes down to whoever takes the football the best is going to win the games. And even though the Patriots lost the turnover battle yesterday, they weren't bad turnovers like what happened with the Giants game last night with San Francisco. When you fumble, in enemy territory, turn the ball over in enemy territory. That's how you lose games.
Now, with Tom Brady, does it kind of say a lot about him in the fact that he did not have a very good game last night, and he was the first to admit it himself, and nonetheless, the Patriots still managed a victory?
Yeah, well, again, the numbers don't look, obviously, the 2 interceptions, but he did make some really good throws. I mean, he missed some guys, no question. We know what he did wrong, but you also know he made some really, really outstanding throws on third down when they needed to. He completed a lot of nice throws. It was by far, for him, it's a terrible day. And I know quarterback ratings in the 50s and all that stuff. He threw 2 picks and no touchdowns, but. He also did a lot of good things out there yesterday that he's not going to talk about. Just people remember the interceptions, the quarterback sneak that he had for the touchdown, and the way the Patriots ran the ball yesterday, which is what I talked about on my show last week. I said the most underrated players nobody's going to talk about is going to be Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and Woodhead, and probably Falk. I didn't think Ridley was going to play because I just had a feeling with the 2 fumbles. I actually thought we'd see more Kevin Falk on blitz packages, but really didn't need to because after Gronkowski leveled Suggs early on in that game, you didn't hear hide nor hear from him either for much of that game. But Tom had, for him, an awful game, but he did make some good throws in key situations when they needed to. Flacco had a tremendous game, and he's still whining about it.
Well, definitely a very interesting play over there when T-Sizzle went T-Fizzle. with Gronkowski in his face. Do you see?
He leveled them. He freaking leveled them. And Wilfork leveled some people. Spikes was, the best thing was, the play that Spikes made that great interception was kind of like a one-handed interception if you look at it slowly. But the play before that, right before that, Spikes got decked. He got pancaked on the play before that. So I thought it showed, again, great resiliency by him and great character by the Patriots. And that's what they do. If you go back and watch the play again, he got knocked on his butt hard, and he got right back up, and lo and behold, he makes a great interception. So this Patriot team is really, they're smart, they're relentless, they have a lot of resiliency, they have a lot of heart, they have a lot of character, and it's going to be a great matchup. And Belichick, again, second time around when he goes up against the team he's lost to, very rarely does he lose again. It's going to be really interesting, and you're just going to see 2007 highlights from now until,
Now until we puke.
So stick about it.
So what on that note, what are the keys to the game here for the Patriots to beat the Giants?
Just play, take care of the football, play the, I think it's, first of all, I think it's going to be a one-score game either way. I really do. I'm not ready to sit and I think the Patriots overall still have the better team, but it's so close. It is so close because there's pluses and minuses. You're not going to see it. I don't think you're going to see the same kind of game you saw early in the regular season in Foxborough, where the game was scoreless at halftime, and then both teams, did well in the second half. I think it'll be a completely different type of game. No, I just think if the Patriots, whoever takes care of the football the best is probably going to win the game. More than likely, that's what it usually comes down to. The Patriots kind of broke that rule this week because they did lose the turnover battle, but they still managed to win the game. And like I said, the turnovers weren't horrific in their own end that gave Flacco and company a short field. So if they can avoid that, I think Tom is going to be on a mission. I think he's going to eat at them all for the next 13 days. And he had such a cruddy game. The Giants' defense is playing better now, but they've had their issues too during the season. It's still not the same defense as it was in 2007, even though people want to say that. I think the Giants being able, if they can run the ball, and they didn't run the ball all that much yesterday. That's for darn sure, because they only had, Bradshaw only had 74 yards rushing, Jacobs only had 13. Eli threw the ball 58 times yesterday. And people know that. He did throw for 2 touchdowns and 316 yards. I just think the Patriots have incredible balance. I think their running game is very much underrated, and it's a sneaky type of a running game. So I just think the Patriots have more offensive weapons, and in the end, it's going to come down. I'm sure it's going to be a nail-biter right down to the last 90 seconds, and may the best team win. I think the team that wins the turnover battle in that game will absolutely win the Super Bowl.
Now, speaking of Tom Terrific, we're hearing some rumors that he is a little bit banged up. Do you happen to know if he has any serious injury that could affect him in Super Bowl 46?
No, he's had the shoulder problem for the second half of the year, and that's why he didn't practice last Wednesday because of it. And, it's got a little tweak in his left shoulder. And you saw the hit he took yesterday in his spine, by Ray Lewis when he went for that quarterback sneak and flipped over. Ray hit him right in the bottom of the spine. So I'm sure he's bruised, but I have no doubt that he will be ready to go. He was on the injury report because of that left shoulder, nothing else. But I'm sure all those guys are banged up today. They're all feeling it.
Absolutely.
That's why they have 2 weeks to recover.
Yes, exactly.
All right, Pete.
Exactly.
Before we let you go, obviously you're picking the Pats. You say it's a one-score game. What is the exact score you're predicting for Super Bowl 46?
I don't know. You'll have to get me back on when it's close to the game. I want to go do some more research about and look deeper into some numbers and all that stuff. But I'm thinking something like 34-30, something like that.
Okay.
I think it'll be somewhere around there. It's somewhere between a 3 and a 7-point game, I would say. I'd be shocked if it's anything higher or lower than that. It doesn't matter even if you pick the Giants, I still think it's going to be a one-score game. So it should really be a great Super Bowl, and probably a lot of the country doesn't want to see it, but it'll still probably be one of the highest-rated Super Bowls of all time. I know the Boston-New York thing, people are sick of it, and everybody hates the Patriots anyway because they always win, or they're always there, and they hate Belichick and all that stuff. Last week was so disgusting to watch every single sportscast, and everybody brought up 2009, and like I think I told you guys this last time I was on with you, nobody brought up 2010. Nobody brought up the Patriots beating Baltimore last year here by the same 23-20 score in overtime with Gronkowski, with Hernandez, and with Welker. None of those guys played in the 2009 game. Neither did Deion Branch, and Deion Branch ended up last year having the big game for the Patriots, 98 yards and a touchdown. I don't understand the laziness of NFL Network and ESPN sometimes. They hop on one game and they promote it like that's what's expected to happen again, and it very rarely does it happen. But for the national media last week not to even mention 2010 was just ridiculous.
Well,
I was probably the only one that did. I went through the whole thing, and I listened to every show around the country, and nobody mentioned 2010. It was ridiculous.
Well, that's because it would go against the entire grain of their show. They wanted to prove how it would be possible for Baltimore to beat New England, and that's why.
And if you saw 2010, you saw even last year, the Patriots did a great job on Rice.
Yeah.
They did a great job on him last year, and they did a great job on him yesterday. And you heard Rice beginning of the week last week, if I don't get 25 touches, if I don't this, if I don't get that. Well, he didn't get 25 touches. He got 21 rushes for 67 yards, and he only had one catch for 11. So you hold Rice to 78 yards, most time, that Baltimore team, you're going to win.
Well, I believe it was in last year's game when Rice only had, 77 rushing yards, and again, that's why they lost.
Yeah, they did. I think it was 20. I think it was 26 carries, 86 yards. I think, but still, it's a very low percentage for him.
Right.
As it was yesterday. The Patriots defense. I know they still gave up some yards yesterday, but they gave up 20 points, and they made some plays. Sterling Moore, the practice squad guy, even though he got torched once in the fourth quarter, made two very nice plays, stops at the end. You can't say enough about the defensive pressure that they had on Flacco. For parts of this game. And like I said, Vince Wilfork was a man yesterday. He was a beast.
All right, Pete, you brought it up a few minutes ago about coming on closer to the game. So how about next week come back on the program?
No problem, anytime.
All right, great. So you come on all playoff season long. Why stop now? We'll have you on Super Bowl week.
Let's keep the fun going.
Keep the fun going. Sounds like great stuff. Pete, appreciate the time as always. Pete Shepard from Patriots.com. Thank you for being on Louis Live tonight.
No problem. Anytime, guys. Enjoy the show and have a blast this week. You guys aren't going to Indianapolis, are you?
We weren't planning on it, but if someone out there wants to take us on the private jet, anyone listening, or we might be interested.
I got a room if I can make the trip. I got a place to stay and all, but that's about as far as it's gonna go.
We've had that part.
A lot of Motel 6s in Indianapolis. Let me tell you.
All right, Pete. Great stuff as always. We'll speak to you next week.
Okay, guys, take care. Thank you.
All the best.
That was Pete Shepard from Patriots.com. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll...
when we return, we brought up Indianapolis. We brought up Jim Caldwell. I got to talk about who is going to replace him on the Indianapolis sideline this coming season.
All right.
Who or what? Stay tuned.
Yes, you're listening to Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey folks, Kagan here. As you know, I'm always staying on top of the fitness world, keeping up with current trends. One form of exercise that's been around for ages and is currently being rediscovered is suspension bodyweight training. So if you're looking for a way to get in shape, improve your health, and train your body to move in new ways, then the X1 by Israel Gym Systems is for you. Find out more on our website at www.israelgym.com or look for our page on Facebook, Israel Gym Systems X1. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed frequent flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Schutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Harry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back in Louis Live to wrap things up. Before we do, drum roll, please. The man or thing.
Yeah, well, there are a couple. I have three. The top three that I've figured out of what is going to be, who and what is going to be the replacement as coach behind or on the sideline for the Indianapolis Colts. Do you know? Let's see if you can guess. Give a guess. One guess. There's three possibilities.
Okay.
One guess. Chances are pretty good that you're going to get it. Considering that I already mentioned one of them on tonight's show.
I'll tell you a guess I would like. I think Peyton Manning should become the next coach.
Okay, that's fair, but no.
Okay, drum roll, please. Yes.
One, a bag of rocks. Because the bag of rocks is as intimidating as former coach Mr. Caldwell. As much as what you've seen with Jim Caldwell on the sideline is exactly what you're going to get with a bag of rocks. Because Peyton, being the quarterback, he calls the offensive plays. Jim Caldwell calls the defensive plays. We know what that defense was like. Bag of rocks could probably do about the same job, if not better.
Good point there. Okay. Number two.
Alfred the Butler from Batman. Because both he and Jim Caldwell are good at taking orders. Alfred from, of course, Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman, and Caldwell from Peyton Manning.
Oh, ouch.
Again, on the defense, Caldwell's play calling has been god-awful, and he finished 18, 20, and 25, respectively, in his 3 seasons in Indianapolis as their head coach. So, yeah, there you go. Maybe Alfred, in his awesome British accent and really wicked spectacles, in the Queen's English, will do a pretty good job there on the sideline for the Indianapolis Colts, because, quite frankly, Alfred takes care of the Wayne Mansion. So, hey, why not?
All right, and number 3.
The number 1 choice is a toilet. Because if you recall, harken back to last year's postseason, the New York Jets playing the Indianapolis Colts, and the New York Jets trailing the Colts at late in the fourth quarter, Caldwell calls a timeout to save the Jets' season, to give the Jets extra clock time and essentially enable them to go on to win the game on a game-ending, game-winning field goal. Did you see Peyton's incensed reaction to his coach? It's kind of like taking a dump on Caldwell in public. Therefore, the toilet.
Oh, God. On that note, that'll conclude our show for tonight. Thank you, OCG. We appreciate it. We've had a great show previewing Super Bowl 46 between the New York Giants and the New England Patriots. So many guests to thank. First, we must begin from Andy from the East Coast giving us a call. Certainly appreciate that. Radio Mike from Kew Garden Hills, NBA Dave, Daniel from Tel Aviv, New York Neil, and of course from Patriots.com, Pete Shepard. Stay tuned for tomorrow night's show as we have
special guests.
Special guests. Want to stay tuned and find out who those special guests are. And Thursday, Jim Williams from the Washington Examiner and much more.
Most likely a very special guest in addition to Jim Williams.
Yes. So stay tuned for that. That's Thursday night. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.